Alright guys, let's talk about what's coming, because I think this winter is about to make some serious noise across the United States. I've been watching the model trends over the last several days, and I'll tell you right now, the signs are lining up for an early and aggressive start to winter. You can already feel it in the air across the northern tier. That bite, that chill. And it's only going to get stronger as we head into early November. The long-range data, the ensemble runs, the teleconnections. Everything is pointing toward a colder, snowier setup than what we've seen in years. And honestly, this pattern is starting to remind me of 2013. Remember that winter? The brutal cold, the relentless snow, those Arctic blasts that just kept coming one after another? Yeah, this season is starting to take on that kind of personality. So here's what I'm seeing right now. And I want to break this down month by month because this looks like one of those winters that just doesn't want to quit. November isn't going to wait for anyone this year. It's already showing its teeth. The models are hinting at a strong blast of Arctic air diving south out of Canada as early as the first full week of the month. And it's not just a quick shot either. It's the kind of cold that digs in and lingers. I'm talking about highs struggling to get out of the 30s across the northern plains, the upper Midwest, and the Great Lakes by early to mid-November. Chicago, Minneapolis, Green Bay. You guys are going to feel that winter air early this year. And don't be surprised if you see your first accumulating snow within the first 10 days of the month. At the same time, that first real heavy snow event of the season looks to blast through the northern Rockies and Pacific Northwest right around that same period. We're talking a foot or more in places like Spokane, Missoula, Bozeman, and easily 2 to 3 feet in the higher elevations of the Cascades. Seattle may even see a few wet flakes mixing in, something that rarely happens this early. And across the Great Lakes, those cold winds blowing over the still warm lake waters are going to fire up the lake effect machine in a big way. Buffalo, Erie, Cleveland. You guys know what's coming. Those early season bands could easily drop 6 to 12 inches. Maybe more in the traditional snow belts. By the way, if you'd like specific weather forecasts for your region or city, please leave them in the comments. I'll answer them individually as time allows. Also, if you like the video and subscribe to my channel, you'd be very grateful. Now, let's move on. Then as we roll into December, that's when this pattern really locks in. The long-range setup shows a deep trough anchoring itself over the central and eastern US, meaning the cold keeps funneling south, while the subtropical jet across the Pacific starts throwing more moisture toward the west and southern tier. That combination means snow coverage expands fast, from the Rockies all the way to New England. Denver could easily pick up 15 to 20 inches through December alone, with snowpack building fast across Colorado and Wyoming. Salt Lake City might be looking at one of its snowiest Decembers in years, with totals reaching 18 to 24 inches. Across the Midwest and Great Lakes, the snow begins to pile up quickly. Chicago might already be sitting at 15 inches by Christmas, which is double the usual for that point in the season. Detroit, Milwaukee, and Minneapolis could be pushing the 20-inch mark. Cleveland and Buffalo, those cities could be buried under multiple lake effect events, possibly hitting 30 inches before we even get to New Year's. In the Northeast, from Boston to New York to Albany, I think we'll see the first big snowstorm of the year in early December, 6 to 10 inches right off the bat. And by the holidays, multiple systems could push totals above normal. Even down south, we'll see cold air intrusions reaching deep into Texas and the Gulf states. Dallas might get a rare early season snow, a dusting to an inch or two. And you know what? Atlanta and Birmingham could flirt with a few flakes around Christmas if the timing lines up. January is when this pattern really flexes its muscles. If that blocking near Greenland holds, and we keep a negative Arctic oscillation going, the door stays wide open for true Arctic air to pour south. That's when we'll see the kind of cold that makes headlines. Lows in the single digits and sub-zero readings across the Midwest, wind chills pushing 20 or even 30 in spots. The cold won't be limited to one region either. It'll reach deep into the central and eastern US, and with that kind of air mass sitting around, every storm that forms has snow potential. I think we'll see some impressive totals this month. 20 to 30 inches across the upper Midwest wouldn't surprise me, with northern Wisconsin and Michigan possibly topping 3 feet. Cleveland and Buffalo could tack on another 25 inches just from lake effect alone. Boston could see 15 to 20 inches in January, while New York City adds another 10 to 12. And out west, it doesn't slow down. The Pacific Northwest keeps getting pounded. Portland and Seattle could see 3 to 6 inches in the city. But the Cascades? Another 3 to 5 feet? Easy. The Sierra Nevada in California is going to get absolutely buried. Lake Tahoe could see 100 inches by the end of January. Denver, Salt Lake, and Flagstaff all continue to pile up snow. And even Albuquerque might get in on the action with a few inches when those southern storm tracks pull in some colder air. By February, you'd think winter might start easing up a little bit, but I'm not buying that this year. The model trends suggest another strong push of Arctic air in mid to late February, setting the stage for one last major round of snowstorms. I can easily see a setup where a powerful low sweeps out of Texas, tracks towards the Great Lakes, and then slams into the northeast. That kind of storm could drop 6 to 12 inches across Kansas City, St. Louis, Indianapolis, and Chicago, before hammering the I-95 corridor with over a foot from New York to Boston. By this point, snow totals are going to look impressive across the country. Seattle ends up with around 8 to 12 inches, above normal. Bozeman and Missoula between 70 and 90. Denver roughly 65 to 75. Chicago 50 to 60 inches, solidly above average. Minneapolis around 65. Cleveland 80. Buffalo pushing 95 or more, maybe rivaling 2013 levels. Boston 55 inches. New York City around 40. Philadelphia 25. Washington, D.C. 15. Even Dallas could end up with a few inches on the season. Atlanta maybe a trace to 1. Salt Lake City about 70. Tahoe buried under more than 250 inches of snow by March. And speaking of March, I don't think winter shuts down early this time. The setup we're seeing looks like it'll hang on, especially across the Great Lakes and Northeast. Snow in mid-March, maybe even late March? Absolutely possible. The latest GFS is already teasing some snow for the Northeast. Maine, Vermont, even parts of New Hampshire. We're still about a week out, so it's early, but when I see these consistent signals, it's worth paying attention. Because the pattern supports it. You've got warm, moist air surging north. You've got Arctic cold pressing south. When those two meet, something's gotta give. Earlier today, one model run tried to spin up a major storm in the east, and even though I don't totally buy the latest 18Z run, it's still hinting at something big. Could this be our first significant snowstorm of the season? Possibly. It's been hovering around in the model data for a few days now, showing up, disappearing, then coming right back. That's often what happens right before the atmosphere locks in. This polar air mass, it's the coldest we've seen so far this season, and if it makes the full dive south, it could chill the southeast too. Now, the European model tells a similar story. Different details, sure, but the idea is there. Cold, active, stormy. The stage is set for a very interesting start to November, because out west, things are far from quiet. More snow for the Pacific Northwest, heavy rain through the weekend, and then a quick break before our next system starts to dig in. This next one looks like it'll swing even farther south, maybe even brushing California. Most of the heavy stuff stays north, but the models are hinting at some rain reaching into Southern California too. That's a big deal for this time of year. Further inland, snow starts stacking up again across the Rockies, maybe even down into Colorado. And after that, all eyes turn to the plains. The setup looks ripe for something to form there, but we'll see how the pattern evolves. By Friday, we're talking highs in the 30s across Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and the Dakotas. Overnight lows, below freezing. Saturday brings a small warm-up thanks to downslope flow near the mountains, maybe pushing 70 in Montana. But up north, still cold, with highs stuck in the 30s. Meanwhile, the southwest stays hot. Phoenix could flirt with 90 heading into the weekend. All right. If you'd like specific weather forecasts for your region or city, leave your region or city in the comments. I'll answer them individually as I have time. Commenting is completely free. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.